we will reserve 15 minutes to show up a little bit how this ECT works. Outside is from Avertis, the members are from Avertis, and we go from the Instituto Municipal de Informática and Instituto of Barcelona, and Roberto Conti is from the City of Genoa. Okay? Let's go forward. The first question is that, what are the systems you have already opened? And what are the systems you want to open the next weeks or month?
Well, the first the services that we decided to provide to the citizen, and especially for this project, are started with some kind of IoT services. I mean, services that have to do with sensors that are common for Barcelona and for other cities as well. And for instance, the most common one is to provide data coming from sensors of weather stations. So we have dislocated in various areas of the city some sensors that collect data about humidity, pressure, and things like that. And one of the services that we offer has to do with that. So if you call this service, you have data regarding the place where the sensors are and the data that they collect. Similarly to this first service, it has to do with weather sensors that can be used for weather forecasts or for whatever it happens to be, in use for this data. Are air pollution sensors. This data is not the same for all the kind of pollutants because they have different impacts and different timing for the impacts. But they are connected in a single service that is one of that has in common with the preceding one, the fact that it's also IoT. And then we have data regarding traffic webcams. So we have a few webcams located in different areas of the city. And another service that we give is to locate and have the URL of every single webcam that we have, and you can connect to that URLs to have the actual pictures in real time of the different traffic websites as well. And another one has to do with these webcams. It's very similar to the preceding one. Instead of webcams that shoot on different streets or roads or traffic targets, it has to do to show tourist places, and for instance, it can be useful if one wants to go there and see how's the weather at that moment, or wants to, add some details on how many people are there or whatever. Serendipity is in this kind of projects is very important. Then we kind of moved. Then we also have some other IoT sensors. We have many hotspots, free Wi-Fi hotspots in the city. And so one of the other services that we provide has to do with the placement of your hotspots. If you do an app for people that travels around Genoa, similarly to many other cities, it's not new. You can provide, for instance, the fact that in that area there is an hotspot, and so a free hotspot so that you can use the general network for accessing the internet all the time. And finally, we have a different structure, that is the citizens desk, which is a little bit further away from the concept of IoT, and it has more to do with the treatment of information, just like I think the Barcelona one regarding CRM, so the customer. And the citizens desk is a service that has to do with the information about offices, where are they, what do they do, not only for the municipality, but also for other kind of organization or institution there. So that people interested in doing something knows where to do it, but just accessing this kind of information that is, of course, maintained by the people of the municipality. And also about topics. This is kind of different from IoT because you can't just use an API that has to do with give me the data value regarding things like that. So I think that it is more properly treated with the new interface API that is being developed by Alex. That is more proper probably to treat argument. But I think it's not the only structure that is important for IoT. So it can be something that opens a new kind of infrastructure that can be used for people. I think that's all for.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hear me well? Yes. Apart from Barcelona, the first thing we have opened for ICT is what we call the Barcelona Sensor Platform, so-called Sentido. Most of you probably have heard about it. And basically, in Sentido, we have already integrated every existing sensor in Barcelona. So we have so much heterogeneous kind of sensors, from parking sensors to temperature sensors. Now I think we have some wind measuring sensors as well, and of course temperature, humidity, and all these kind of things. I think that opening the sensors platform is probably the first thought you have. If you think, what would you open via ICT? I think the first thing that would come to your mind is opening the sensors. I mean, it's somehow easy as long as you have a platform already implemented. That's pretty easy. I mean, you just plug it. It's read-only, so there's no much complication on that. In fact, you can access the Barcelona Sensor platform from ICT or directly to the system if you want to. Then, of course, ICT offers you that layer of security, and it will offer those layers that Johnny mentioned before regarding orchestration and accounting. But that's it. I think so. It's a good first step. But I really believe that the nice part of ICT is the next one. What is the next step? I believe is, for instance, systems that require bidirectionality. That Johnny told us before as well. I'm not trying to say that it's easy to open a system which is read-only, because it's not, and we will talk about it later. But of course, the new thing that ICT provides us is that bidirectionality. So what have we opened in read and write style? For instance, our incident system. There is a long time ago it was implemented a system which is intended to people to tell the city hall what's wrong in the city. Okay, like any kind of incidents, a street with problems, or I don't know, any kind of incident in the city you can think about. This, of course, if you try to open the system through ICT in a read-only way, the only thing you could do with that is to read and to give data regarding what kind of incidents have people already opened. But via the classical open data, what you never could do is to open an incident inside the system. That means, of course, the bidirectionality. Then that's the nicest step, I believe, we have been able to reach through ICT, which is plans, which I believe was the second part of the question. We have plans to open quite a lot of other systems, which are very heterogeneous again. We're thinking, for instance, of opening the situation of every traffic light in the city. That would be really interesting. Not of that would not be bidirectional, okay? So no, you would not be able to change the semaphore, the city lights of and I want the street to go with, no, you won't be able to do that.
Excuse me, or yes, but we can talk about it later.
Okay.
It's not only to be possible, it's done now. So we can speak about it later.
Okay. But yes, but we are thinking at least on telling you what is the current situation of every traffic light and how many times you have until the light changes. And that would be great, for example, for now the car companies are starting to build this kind of car that automatically turn the engine off when you stop. Okay, then probably it would be much wiser or much more efficient to only turn the car off if there is you have to wait for more than, I don't know, 10 seconds. And if not, then leave it, leave the engine on. No, that's an idea. I mean, that's what we've come here in fact to talk about and discuss what it is. And more things. We are thinking as well on opening some data which can be collected through our Wi-Fi network. And we are not talking about opening the Wi-Fi itself, but opening maybe some kind of information that base stations give us, which consists of a kind of map of where people are moving around and being connected to the different Wi-Fi stations. Okay. That will give us important information about tourism, for instance, and it could open the door to some interesting tourism applications, like, hey, why are you everybody going to the port if it's already full of other tourists go to the Sagrada Familia, which is empty.
What are the main problems you have found opening the systems and the solutions?
Well, I think the main problem were not exactly technical, because as in Barcelona, the expertise in computer science is widespread. There are so many people that are good programmers, both inside municipality civil servants, people regarded to computer science department, and of course in the city. The problem that we have most had to do with the fact that differently from what is happening now, at first the political class and many of the civil servants at various level of the management, top level, didn't want to give plan out. So we had to, sort of have a little fight to make people understand that it's this data and also maybe the data provided by some infrastructures that exist in this data is property of the citizens. And also that they could have a sort of gaining in opening, because at least in terms of marketing of their information and results and their openness. So to answer in short, the main problem were to just find people who were able to provide data without any political issue. And the other was to make people of different departments of the city to talk with each other, because everybody has its own part of data and doesn't want to share it with the others, or just want to keep a few things from the outside. That was
maybe summarize it in other words. I would say that any information system, any current information system, has been built not to be open, but exactly the opposite way around. It's designed to be closed. If you try to speak with the owner of an information system and tell him, okay, we are now here to open your information system for everybody in the world, of course, his first answer is always no. My treasure. You know? That's the first barrier you need to break, and it's not easy. You are trying to change the way they have worked inside a city hall for hundreds of years. It's not easy. It's not definitely not. Then of course you need to try to convince them with what will you get from this opening and this changing, absolutely changing your mind, and it's not easy. Absolutely not.
The question is how you have solved this problem, because you say you have opened some systems. You use a better arguments or persuasive way to convince your boss, and how did you achieve it?
I think it has to do with two different aspects. The one is that the general public, and I mean not only technicians, are more aware of the fact that there is an opening around. So it's more and more acceptable for politicians to open their data. At least at top level, they have to respond to pressure in question of open data. And in fact, as Davide this morning said, it's quite the opposite that's happening now, because everybody wants to open doors up for open data. But still, the top managers of the city don't really understand how that data should be used. And that's the second step. But the first step has been solved. First, because there was an awareness, and inside the structure, it's because of the many European projects, of which we are part, that have pushed very hard to obtain this data. And finally, we sort of convinced that not only us of that city, but many other projects, but we have sort of synergy, and together all us, we were saying the same things, and finally they get it.
Give you force.
Well, to be honest, I have to say that we still have plenty of room for improvement in getting to convince our owner of information systems to really open the system to the city. I think our main argument, and Jordi, please correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think our main argument is that in innovation itself, I mean, we are pretty sure that this is the future. We are pretty sure that in some years there will be quite a lot of ICT systems or ICT-like systems. So why not start now? I mean, unless we have a good argument for opening a specific and particular information system, we cannot think of a better argument than innovation itself in general.
How about if we show up on how to participate, how to register in this ICT portal?
Okay.
Okay. Try to hear me? No? No? Just this one? I will try to explain to you a little bit how to case, you have to classify your enterprise if it's a startup, a big company, or something like that. Okay, this is only to know if you are young or not. It's correct for me. It's more than 24. I want to be more younger than I am. Here, it's the big concept. It's hobby, it's work, because sometimes there are people that wants to play with a system information and it's not feasible. Okay? Okay. I forgot to sign that this. This is the SIG. Okay? This is if you want to be part of the information system and have more information about the project. Yeah. Okay. In this case, you will see that you will be depending on that we are aware of your sign up in the system. Okay. Don't worry, because now we are saying yes to everyone. Okay. Okay. And in some minutes I will say yes to me. Okay. That's all what I want to explain to you.
Okay, we have to understand what are the final recommendations you offer to the people, to developers or to cities that want to use the ICT?
Well, to developers, I'd say it's both useful if you plan to use it as a non-professional, as always, and as well if you are planning to use it as suppose a medium enterprise developer or something like that. For the first one is you have a platform with which you can sort of play, but with the data that is real. So it's, I think, a very good way for students to have some improvement in their skills with web station, web service. I mean. We start with WS as well, web station, web service. Sorry, that's last. And for professional people, it is because of course the more the services the platform will give, and the more these services will be widespread in different cities, and treating a large amount of data. And the first you get this train, the first you will be to provide something, and you will probably be the first to be, remembered to have done something. And you also will have the skill first before others. Not because it's not useful as well just now, but it will be more and more in the future. So as long as we improve, add new cities, add new services, I think it will be. So my recommendation is just to use it.
Well, of course, the recommendation is use it. If not, what are we doing here? No, seriously. I think it's important to join now. We are in the project stage. Now is the moment to define it together. We can define it together. We can listen to you and then change some things inside the project if it's needed. It's a moment. If things go the way we think they will go, and in some years there are a lot of ICT-like platforms, then everybody will be doing these kind of things. Now we are the first ones. We have the opportunity to be pioneers, and I think that's a big thing about it.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if we have enough time to open the floor and make questions or ask any kind of suggestions or ideas. Any question you have in mind? Yes.
developed on this platform?
Of course, the developer. I mean, you are the property for anything you build, and it's just that you are using data or systems which are being opened by third parties, but the programming is of course yours.
More questions? No doubts, problems? Okay, this way. Yes.
Symbolic.
Okay. I just wanted to comment on this registration form you have there, because there are people that said that if you are not able to build something in 15 minutes, as a system will not get enough adoption. And this model where you have to even put your age in there just to try to have a look at the system, I mean, it's too strong. There's a very interesting model that is used by the Bureau of Census in the United States, where you can, they have a shitty API, I should say. It's not very powerful, it's the format, I don't like it. But the way you have to register, they allow you to try the API without registering, but only for a very limited number of requests. So you can try it, you can begin to build something, but you are not forced to, you will do that afterwards, when you are convinced that it's worth the effort. Instead of having to say your organization, trying to read the terms and conditions, your age, the size of your company, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand you have problems with telling us your age, right? just kidding. But we are thinking on that. Yes. In fact, that specific comment has come up several times inside the project team, team itself. Okay, we take note. Thank you.
More? Any other question?
My question was on the same line, because you sign a kind of agreement with Avertis, and well, Avertis is a big company, so
Avertis is part of the consortium, but it's not an agreement with Avertis, it's an agreement with IC. It's like Cisco is also in the project, Vancouver. There are some private companies and other councils that are interested in the project. But it's
Yes.
I would say it's just a legal aspect. I think by I don't know which law. I'm an engineer, not a lawyer, so but there's some kind of law that forces you to tell who the operator is, and at this moment at least, Avertis operator. So we are like forced to put the name of one of the partners of the consortium, because in this case he is the operator. It's simply the law.
Yeah, you mentioned about the students. I think normally European projects, things in relation with public institutions, private companies, maybe universities, but never students. By students, even secondary school students.
No,
How do you
that's,
consider this kind of target for inviting them to use this platform? It's a kind of
well,
experimental.
not now. I shouldn't say it's a bad idea, but not now. When I was talking about students now, I was referring to people that have some kind of knowledge in computers or development, so engineering faculties and things like that. Or people who have, that are studying these things independently from the university, but they are, sort of have a little bit skill. I wouldn't say it's a bad idea, because there are also younger people in secondary schools that have to do with
not by just a new generation of computer scientists that substitute the architects of the civil engineers in the past. This is an old model, and I think that, as you say, that there is a common sense now that the city should open us the information systems, because they are citizen information that only the city hall gathers, but it's not their information, it's our information. And in that sense, I think that one of the roles of the city labs in this project is just to send this message that the citizens can also be engaged as a producers of the smart cities. We are developing a snappy, maybe Elijah can explain the kind of very simple language that can attack against this kind of API, and then provide the schools, even to seniors, the idea that the smart city can be built by the common citizens. And maybe that's not the goal of this project. But
the idea is not bad at all. What I have to say, though, is that it's very simple to talk about this thing to university, because you can find the target. There are instead a lot of the schools you can't decide this school yes and the other not. So you have, and you also have to sort of put things in a way that can be accepted not only by the students but also by the schools. And this is for public administration. It has to do with some sort of equilibrium, balance between what you are pushing on and what the school is able to offer to their students. Because of course, for instance, in general, in the secondary school, most of the people don't have computer in the school, for instance. So you can't use the school hours to join. They have the computer at home, but I don't know if they want to do it at home. I think they would probably do something else. So this is one of the reasons.
any other question? Final question? Not with the close. Yes, over there.
You speak about shared data and data sources like that, but are you aware in privacy or what privacy goes? It can be different.
Well, this kind of data is open, and the infrastructure insisting on the data is open. So there's no privacy issue on this kind of data. At least what is offered by the public administration is open data, and it can't it can't give up any kind of private information, and the information that gives has no problem with privacy. Otherwise, it couldn't be published in a way like this.
I would say there are probably three kinds of information. The one that is clearly private, which we will of course not publish it in any way. The information which is clearly public, which is in which we are focusing, and then that kind of gray information, which we could discuss quite a lot if it's public, private, ethical or not ethical. We in this case, in this middle kind of information, I believe we need to be cautious, but also brave. Okay, and I think it's now it's the moment to push this. And taking the words of our deputy CIO, I think it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. That's the moment.
Anyway, I think it's a thing that has to do with the speed.
The last one.
Last question.
Yeah. I'm sorry because I couldn't be here earlier, okay, so I don't know if you tackled this. But I think something that is very important for citizens, especially now, is information about the government. And there is a huge amount of information about the government that is still not disclosed. And when it is disclosed, it's disclosed closed in a way that it's, you know, it's bound to be not seen because it's either in PDFs or it's hiding behind 27 clicks or whatever. So my last short question is, how are you going to tackle this problem of, you know, making citizens, giving them information that is available but hiding? Because I think those are the apps and the APIs and everything that people could build and citizens would use.
I agree with you because I myself had to find some information and it was not so easy to do. There are laws, at least in Italy, that slowly say that you have to publish data, but as you said, there are 20 different clicks before you get it, and probably it's hidden in a steganographic way, I don't know how to say. So it's like a dot in a mash of points. It's a good idea to try to do that. It's even less easy than it was to just open the data set, as we know. It's easier to go to a department and ask somebody, you have to give us the data of weather sensors, than to go to a politician and say, we have to know what you've been doing in the last few years. So it's a good idea. At this moment, I don't think it's easy to obtain that. We can move in that. It's a good idea, but it's not at all easy. I don't agree totally with the fact that this is the kind of information that interests exactly most of the people. Because I think that I'm more interested in, not anymore, I'm as interested in other things. Because if I have to, go to see something in the city, I'm more interested in tourist information than. But of course, for the people living in the city, it's more important what you're saying because they already know where the church is or something like that. So if we have to talk about local information, I totally agree with the fact that this app can be very popular. As for kind of apps that can be exploited for different cities with different legislation, and I don't know if I really care what did in Barcelona very major. I don't know. Probably I can be interested because I'm interested in general in politics, but I don't know if it's a very important thing I'd like to know in Barcelona when I don't know where the civil Santiago City is because I couldn't get it here this morning in a reasonable time. So various aspects. The thing is that more important probably at local level than global level.
Yeah, just towards I fully agree with him. Probably that kind of data to be open and to be given to the community regarding transparency, which is this kind of information, is important, but probably it's quite out of the scope of ICT. Probably you have two main reasons to open data. One is transparency, and the other one is what I believe that explains better this project, which is I give you data that you can use for your business. Okay, so we have these two ways, and probably the one that fits better ICT is the second one, which does not mean that the first is not important, but I see less related to ICT. I don't know if
I disagree about that because what you say here is citizenship, and citizens are interested in how their money is used.
Yes, I understand. But the question is
I mean, there's a huge interaction between the private and the public sector these days, and I think citizens have a right to know about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have something to say.
I think it fits exactly.
I agree with the fact that citizens are interested in how you use the money they give some is collected with local taxes, some other is from national taxes. So it's just difficult to know that. But to know how the money is spent, it's not exactly to have the information that can be given about what they were saying in the council, for instance, but it's sometimes published. Because there is a difference between data and interpretation of data. You can give data, I can tell you, for instance, there has been a council, we discussed the topic, but you don't know nothing after I told that. Just that people meet, but how do they decide the thing? Why did they choose something or the other? That's a political issue. It's not a data issue. I don't think you can give data without interpretation, or it's difficult to find a way to give data that has no need for interpretation of this kind. For instance, if you have a sensor and you say there are 12 degrees with a very short error, it's 12 degrees. But if you are saying they're doing something good or not, depending on the fact that they have more frequent meeting or not, or that they were taking an issue instead of another, or that they have chosen to do something or something else. That's political issues, not data. We can collect data and give that, but it's just,
But politicians pass laws and politicians, approve of budgets.
Well, it's local level. They don't exactly approve many laws. They just, have a executive way of treating it.
Sorry, I don't want to.
No, this is a good debate for the lunch.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Just a moment. Remember, the lunch is downstairs in the same place as the breakfast, and it's free.